In this year's presidential election, Kamala Harris won the state of New Jersey by 5.9%. However, just 4 years ago, Joe Biden won the state by 16%, making the state, along with New York, the only two states in the nation to have trended towards Donald Trump by a double-digit margin in 2024. In fact, New York Times chief political analyst Nate Kahn called this race in New Jersey one of the most head-spinning results of the 2024 election cycle, which begs the question, is the state of New Jersey now a swing state on the presidential level as well as down ballot? In today's video, we'll find out. To truly understand how significant Kamala Harris's less than 6% win in the state of New Jersey was, we have to look at past elections. We know by now in 2020, Biden won the state of New Jersey by 16% essentially. If you go back to 2016, you see that Hillary Clinton, even someone as unpopular as Hillary Clinton and someone who lost the presidency, won the state of New Jersey by over 14%. We go to 2012, an even wider margin in the state of New Jersey, 17.7%. In 2008, this was slightly narrower, but still a 15% margin. In 2004, the state was more competitive, however coalitions at the time were far more different, and even then Kerry won the state by over 6%. We have to go all the way back to 1992 to see the state of New Jersey similarly competitive, and yet that was truly an extraordinary election, with 30-party candidate Ross Perot gaining 15% of the vote, and many things just being quite unusual, especially considering that Clinton was a Southerner, someone who performed really well for a Democrat in the South, winning Arkansas by 17.7, winning Louisiana, winning Tennessee, but losing some of the states that are now more Democratic, like the state of Virginia. So as you can see, such a result in New Jersey, at least on presidential history, is truly unprecedented, making it something that is truly significant. Some people will just call the New Jersey election results a one-off. After all, Kamala Harris is the first Democrat in 20 years to have lost the popular vote. However, it's really not that simple. To truly understand New Jersey's Republican swing, we have to look at the 2021 New Jersey governor election. In this election, we saw that Phil Murphy, the Democratic governor, won re-election against Jack Ciattarelli by 3.2%. No one was surprised at this outcome. Phil Murphy was a heavy favorite, and everyone knew he was going to win. However, the margin was the one that was shocking for a lot of people. Phil Murphy was expected to win re-election easily by double digits. Republicans did not really even campaign for Jack Ciattarelli, and Ciattarelli essentially abandoned his own campaign. He didn't really campaign, he wasn't fundraising, he wasn't doing a lot of things because this was a shoo-in for the Democratic Party, at least supposedly. But then in the 2021 election, with the votes being counted, we saw that the race was actually very competitive. I remember in 2021 when I was watching the election results, even when 75% of the vote was counted, Jack Ciattarelli still maintained a very narrow lead over Phil Murphy. Now, of course, the lead eventually evaporated and Phil Murphy was able to win. However, this margin is really concerning. I know that people will bring out 2 points. Firstly, governor races are not as divisive, which is true, but it's still a reflection of people's political beliefs. And secondly, Chris Christie, a Republican, was able to win New Jersey twice on the governor's level in the 2000s and 2010s, which is again true, but Chris Christie was a liberal type of Republican. But Jack Ciattarelli really embraced Donald Trump and was very conservative, and yet he was able to do so well in the state of New Jersey. This wasn't just a one-off either in the governor's race. We also saw that down ballot. Specifically, we have to look at the down-ballot races in the state senate and especially the 3rd district. The reason that this race was so significant is that it featured the New Jersey State Senate President, Steve Sweeney. Now, he was essentially a shoo-in for this district. He was someone who was heavily expected to win, and Democrats essentially, they didn't even campaign for Steve Sweeney, and the Republican, who was a truck driver by the way, only spent $75 in campaigning and had a Facebook page. That was it. He gave up. He was just a nominee for the sake of being the nominee. However, he ended up defeating the incumbent Democrat state Senate president by over 3 percentage points, which was really impressive considering that this race was expected to heavily favor the Democratic Party. Yet the Republican came up victorious. This was just another example to show that the state Senate race, that the governor's race was not a one-off, and the presidential race in 2024 wasn't simply a one-off either. This is a type of trend that has been happening in the state of New Jersey, but exactly why is that the case? We have to really compare the New Jersey results in 2024 with the one in 2012 and 2020 for you to find out. Now, 2012 was a long time ago, as it feels like. It was more than a decade ago. However, you do see some striking differences. And you can also look at 2020, by the way, because 2020 is definitely more recent than 2012. I'm going to look at 2020 for the sake of argument here. The problem for the Democratic Party essentially originated in three different areas. The first Democratic problem here was in the southern part of New Jersey, around Atlantic City, Cumberland County, and Gloucester County. These were areas that voted for Biden in 2020. These were not that Democratic. Cumberland by 6, Atlantic by 6, and then Gloucester by about 2%. However, all those counties decided to vote for Donald Trump by roughly 3% in the 2024 election results. To put that into perspective, you can also look at 2012, where Cumberland County voted for Obama by a 23% margin, slightly more than that actually, and in about 12 years of time, Cumberland County swung 26% towards the Republican Party. This is kind of consistent across the United States. We see that in some sparsely populated counties, especially in Democratic areas, Trump has made major inroads. However, a 26% margin is still something incredibly significant, and it kind of shows that a lot of these more rural areas are trending towards the Republican Party. What is the second part of the puzzle? It really comes from the urban areas, and we can see that in 2020. For example, Hudson County gave Joe Biden 72% of the vote here, but in 2024, if you look at this, it gave Kamala Harris 63% of the vote. So what's the significance here? We can look at New Jersey and we can look at shift from 2020. You see that in Hudson County, this is an 18% shift towards the Republican Party, truly significant. Union County as well, the core of the Democratic vote here, 11-point shift. Essex County, this is the bluest county in the state, one of the most populated counties in the state, again an 11% shift. A lot of these urban areas, which are especially diverse in terms of their population, a lot of African American voters or Hispanic voters or other group of voters such as Asians, Pacifics, Native Americans, those are the type of voters that heavily shifted away from the Democratic Party and towards the Republicans. Of course, Democrats still won New Jersey, and by extension, they still won the urban areas. Essex County, for example, 72% for Kamala Harris, but that's not as good as 77.3% for Joe Biden. The third and probably most significant problem for the Democratic Party was the suburbs, especially Passaic County and Bergen County. You can also extend that to kind of Morris County, which also slightly suburban. I want to focus on Passaic County here. This was a county that pumped out over 200,000 votes in the 2024 election in the state of New Jersey, and you can see how significant the shift was from 2012. Barack Obama won Passaic County in 2012 by a margin of 27%, slightly more than that actually. And if you look at 2024, what happened was Kamala Harris actually lost the county by a little over 2%. That means in 12 years, the county shifted more than 30 points towards the Republican Party. A very significant shift in just 12 years. That averages to about 2.5% every year, which is again a very significant shift. You see, Bergen County, it's not as strong of a shift. In 2020, it was about D plus 16. In 2024, it was about a 4% margin. Nevertheless, some of these suburban areas shifted heavily towards the Republican Party, especially the areas closer to the urban areas like Essex County and Hudson County, which essentially cemented Donald Trump's gains in the state of New Jersey. Obviously, this was not enough, and it wasn't even that close. Pennsylvania was decided by about 1.5%, Michigan by about 1.5%, Wisconsin by about 0.8%, but the state of New Jersey comparatively still shifted heavily towards the Republican Party. In fact, as I've shown you, more than 10% in just 4 years. So do I believe in conclusion that the state of New Jersey is competitive in 2028? Now, if we want to really answer that question, I think we need to look at 2025. After the gubernatorial elections in 2025, we'll definitely gain a better understanding. Specifically, if Democrats are able to win the election comfortably, that could mean that the 2021 governor's race was just, an anomaly. That was because Phil Murphy was indeed unpopular, crime was surging, people were not happy, and Biden was in office, his approval rating was really low, and therefore Philip Murphy could have been really damaged because of Joe Biden. However, if this race is super competitive, or if the Republicans are able to actually pull out a victory, it could suggest that New Jersey is trending super much in favor of the Republican Party to a point where it could be competitive in 2028. After all, Donald Trump will be the president in 2025, and governor's elections, especially in off-year elections, especially the off-year elections 1 year after the general presidential election, generally go against the president's party. If the state of New Jersey on the governor's level is actually super competitive, or if it goes Republican, it's a sign that New Jersey, especially its Latino, Asian, and Black populations, are trending so much in favor of the Republican Party to a point where New Jersey could be competitive in 2028. If not, if it was like a 7 to 8% margin, I could see the state being competitive in 2032 or 2036. However, if the state goes to the Democratic Party by 15% or something like that, then I would suggest that this could be like a 1 or 2 off situation where this election result and this election result doesn't necessarily indicate that New Jersey is competitive. What do I think is the most likely scenario? I don't think in 2028 the state of New Jersey will be hotly contested. However, depending on the election margin there in 2032, in my opinion, the state of New Jersey could actually be a swing state. Anyways, thank you for watching today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.